Hi there, welcome to No Nonsense Whisky. My name is VinPF, and on today's episode we're going to be going back to Douglas Laing. It's been a while since I've covered any Douglas Laing. I think I've covered the Big Peat this year and the Goldrons as well, but this is another one of the remarkable regional malts range, albeit not the core range of that. This is the Rock Island 21-year-old. Little wee sample of that came direct from Douglas Laing. Was part of a tasting set, but I kept hold of it for this because I think I had two of them, so why not? Now, the remarkable regional malts range essentially covers the different regions of Scotland and creates a blend of each of those into something, I think, pretty worthwhile. The core range especially, they're all fantastically priced. The Goldrons is a little bit more expensive, but that's more batch release. The rest of them are perfect examples of those regions, and I have to say, if you're ever looking at the differences in regions in Scottish whisky, then this is probably a good place to start for a reasonable price. They're normally about £34. Obviously unaged, but that's just how it goes. The Rock Island is the new name for what used to be called the Rock Oyster. They renamed that to kind of better fit with the ethos of the area, I guess, because really we're talking about the Islands region here, which isn't an official region, but you know, for us, the kind of bigger fans of whiskey, then it is a region, you know. So this in particular covers whiskey from Islay, although Islay does have its own remarkable regional malt in terms of the Big Peat. There is Islay whiskey in this. There's also Isle of Arran whiskey, if you can guess what distillery that is. Isle of Jura whiskey, if you can guess what distillery that is. And the Orkney. So there's only two distilleries there as well, but you know, I'm pretty sure we can guess which one it is. The Islay one is really the big mystery. Probably not going to guess it. They're not going to really tell you, and if they did, they're probably going to tell you not to tell people. I genuinely don't know, but doesn't matter. So the standard release is already pretty good. You can go and check out my videos of the Rock Island and the Rock Oyster if you're looking at the old style versions. Links up and down, probably. But this is a special release one. I think there's something like 4,000 bottles in the wild, and it's been out for a while. I've been sitting on this sample for a while now, so I'm not sure how much is left, but I do know there are still some available. And they sell it for around about £80, £90 on the official website, but you can get it cheaper than that. And it's 46.8%, which is a decent ABV, non-chill filtered, natural coloured, all those things that we all love, people watching this. Let's get into the tasting and see what we've got on the nose and the palate, and have a little look at the No Nonsense Whisky coin, which is just released. You can check out how to get that at my website, nononsensewhisky.com. So as I said, natural coloured, it's quite light. I don't mind talking about colour when we know it's natural coloured. We know that it's not been interfered with at all. It is quite light, so we're not sure about the casks that have been used. I'm going to go on a limb and say that there's probably no first fill stuff in here. Probably no sherry either, but that's just me, I think. There's probably just mostly bourbons. I'm going to take a guess and say that the Islay distillery is probably Kalila. If you're going to talk about a blend that's got Islay whiskey in it, then if you're a betting person, then you could probably have a good bet that it's Kalila. It could be others, but you know, 70-80% of the time it's going to be Kalila. Let's get onto the nose anyway and see what we've got. Ooh. Now, it's definitely got some peat about it, but one thing I will say, if you're not a peat fan, is that this is really gentle peat. Really, the most kind of smells I'm getting out of this is kind of like briny, salty brine, that sort of thing. But it's also like sweetness and vanillas and things like that, which is what leads me to think that it's mostly ex-bourbon barrels. But yeah, especially on the nose, there's definitely smoke there. I'm not going to lie to you, but in terms of in comparison to like actual Islay whiskies as a general thing, much heavier peated. This is much lighter peat in comparison. So if you are looking for some kind of bridging whiskies, then this might be the way to go if you've got a lot of money in your pocket, you know, 70, 80 quid, or you can just go for the standard Rock Island for about £34. Definitely a good place to start. Let's get onto the palate. So in order of stuff that's happening, there's a lot going on. The first thing you get is this kind of sugariness, this sweetness, which is surprising, and I really like that. It's surprising in a good way. Then comes a load of spiciness. We're talking like black pepper. I would say whole grain black pepper. There's a big difference between powdered black pepper and whole grain. when you get a whole grain piece and chew it like that. That's the kind of vibes we're getting here. Now this is where the kind of peat comes in a little bit, especially after you've let some air waft in after you've swallowed. We're talking a touch ashy maybe, but mostly it's kind of gentle warming peat. So it is peaty, and I think there's a lot to be enjoyed here if you are a huge fan of peat, and it might be a touch strong if you're not into peat at all. But like I said, if you're on your journey, if you're on your kind of peat finding journey, there are a load of lucky people out in this world that just like peat right from the off. I wasn't one of them. I had to really struggle through it. And if you're one of those people like me, you need to take the right path to avoid going too strong on peat and really putting yourself off of it. I would say this is kind of like halfway down your journey. You know, once you've started with some lightly peated things like Highland Park, moved on to some things that are kind of like not Isla but kind of faux peated, a little bit like let's say Edredor or something like that, or maybe even Laing. You know, that's probably a little bit, again, medium-y peat. This is kind of in that same vein as Laing. One more sip and let's talk. Now the finish is pretty good actually. It's medium. I wouldn't say it's too long, medium, but lots of smokiness, lots of ashy peatiness going on there. But it's also warming and sweet. Right on the end, the back end, maybe a touch sour, but not in a bad way, if you get what I'm saying. It's when I say sour, it's not a negative, it's just a flavour. Well, that's my quick review of the Rock Island. For me, a 21-year-old whiskey, and you're getting a 21, at least a 21-year-old of something from Isla, of something from Arran, something from Orkney, and something from Jura. So if you account for all of that, suddenly £80 doesn't look too bad. Don't know the proportions of that. It's probably higher towards the Jura and Isla part of it. The only reason I say that is because I find that there's a very distinctive funkiness about Arran. If you've tried a lot of Arran, you know what I mean. It's got a very distinctive flavour profile that really tells you that it's Arran. And I don't get that in this. So I'm not sure of the percentages again. I think there's probably very little 21-year-old and plus Arrans in this. And probably very little Orkney as well. Because if we're thinking it's Highland Park, which is going to be my guess, I doubt Scapa have got the capacity to fund something like this. But, you know, they sell Orkney, Highland Park 21 year for like £300 now. So, again, probably a very small percentage. Just my guessing. But if you've tried this, let me know. I would love to know what you think about it. If you've tried the standard one as well, I'd love to know. Go and check out the video on that, because it's a really good place to start. This is one of those ones where if you've tried all the stuff like that, then it's a little bit of a no-brainer if you're looking to spend that sort of money. It is a little bit expensive for the stuff I normally like to buy, but I definitely think it's worth the money. Under the